go get some books. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I've got for you a Come Shop With Us. Technically it was yesterday. We forgot to film the intro yesterday before we went shopping. So you're getting that this morning, the day after. So you're going to see us shopping, and then we're going to show you the books. So let's get started. You'll see us in the car actually next. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you like videos like this, give it a thumbs up. We love doing them. We hope you love seeing them. So we'll see you in the car. Alright guys, we're in the car now. We are on our way to Half Price Books and then Barnes & Noble. We're going to do some book shopping for you today. Hopefully get some good stuff. Now that I have decided to kind of broaden the horizon of fantasy, maybe I'll start taking looks at that stuff too. So it's going to be a good time. See you guys at Half Price Books in just a minute here. Or well, a minute for you guys, but a little bit for us. So see you guys in a minute. cool edition of Nosferatu by Joe Hill. For for sure need to get this thing. There's one of the black ones here.
Is that the short version?
So they have a lot of Stephen King books at this location, but I already have like all of them. But I'm seeing what else I can find here. Stephen King Companion. I have like the really beefed up version of this and like a newer version. I don't have this one. Maybe it's gonna come off.
It's only $18.
Like that's,
1979.
that's old.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a short. I don't have a short
You
dead
want
zone.
this?
Danielle just found this old edition of Ghost Story by Peter Straub. It's a very old edition. Very old. So I don't have that in the dead zone, but it's a shorty. Oh. We got some books. We're gonna pick up some dinner. We're gonna try and get the barns before they close. So let's get on the road. All right, and finally we have made it to Barnes and Noble. So let's get on in there, find some books, and we'll go home. Alright guys, we're back. Well, we got back last night. We decided to watch a movie, and we didn't film the haul at the end of last night. So now it's the morning, and we're going to show you the books that we got. So, here we go. First one up is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I had not seen a hardcover by her before, except for Gone Girl, so this is the first time I've seen a hardcover like this. It was on clearance at Half Price Books. The first couple books we're going to show you here are from Half Price Books, and the last ones are going to be from Barnes & Noble. Those are the only two places we went to. So, but yes, I found this. I'm planning to do a reading vlog with Gillian Flynn books, all three of them, Gone Girl, Sharp Objects, and Dark Places. And I'm hoping that, you know, I can enjoy the books as much as I did Gone Girl, the movie, because that movie was phenomenal. And so we'll see how much I like this, but I do like this cover. It looks really cool. So there you have Dark Places. Next up, Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I found this really cool, like, Christmassy looking edition where it's got all like the Christmas stuff on there. You got part of a tree, you got a gingerbread man. You got all this cool stuff on there. I really did enjoy this book. I have read this, gave it 5 stars. So far, my favorite Joe Hill book. I'm planning to read The Fireman at some point this year. But so far, Nosferatu has been my favorite Joe Hill book, which if you don't know who Joe Hill is, he is Joe Hill King. He is Stephen King's son. So, yeah, very good book. Found this cool edition. Pretty cool. Next up is The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. So if you have not seen my cart of books, I've got a lot of editions that look like this. I honestly feel like I've got almost all of them, just spread out between like clearance racks and HPBs, Barnes and Nobles, and I've been getting them on good deals. I saw this one and I really loved it, and I said, you know what? Why don't we get it? And so I got it. And it's a pretty cool thing. I want to read this at some point. I don't know when. I was planning to read a couple of those versions, but I just have not found the time to just do it because I have other priorities. But yeah, The Invisible Man, H.G. Wells. I hear it's a good book, and hopefully I can get to it at some point. Next up is Goosebumps, the Monster Blood Collection. As you know, I am a Goosebumps books collector. I think that was right. There's a lot of S's in that. But yes, I found this edition. I have a Camp Nightmare edition where it's got 3 like camping ones that are also in one big box set. And I also got the Night of the Living Dummy one. So I've got 3 book box sets. I found Monster Blood 4 finally, but this one only has 1, 2, and 3. And I'm only missing 1 of the regular old editions, and it's I Live in Your Basement, but that is like the hardest book to find. It's also a very expensive book to find. It's kind of like I Live in Your Basement is kind of like Stephen King's Rage. They're like expensive as heck, and they're really hard to find, and they like don't make them anymore. So, but yeah, I got this edition. Found it yesterday. Thought it was pretty cool. Belonged to my collection. So there you have the Monster Blood collection. Next up is this really old-looking edition of Ghost Story by Peter Straub. I don't think this is a first edition, first cover, or like first print, but it does have like the nice felt on the ends, on the inside, and I know with King those tend to be like a first edition, but it doesn't have the price in the top right on the book flap, so I don't think it's a first edition. I don't dig that deep into books as much as I would like to. But anyway, it's a really cool looking edition. I'm planning to do a reading vlog with this and a Dean Koontz book and possibly another book. So stay tuned for that. Coming out, I don't know when. We'll see. But yes, found this edition. Thought it was pretty cool. And there you have Ghost Story, Peter Straub. Alright, next up is the Stephen King stuff I found from Half Price Books. The first 3 I'm going to show you are actually movies that I did not own. I had seen one of them, but I have not seen 2 of them. And one of them we actually watched last night, so I actually have seen 2 of them now. And that is Firestarter, which this was in my thriller recommendations, which you've not seen that video. We'll put that up here. That was a recent video. But I actually watched this movie last night. I really loved it. Drew Barrymore is amazing as Charlie. The dad is actually Jack Parkman. If you've seen the Major League movie franchise, he's actually Parkman from the second Major League movie, which I, for probably 30 minutes for the start of the movie, was trying to figure out what the heck I knew him from, and then I figured it out. I was like, that's Parkman. Holy crap. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing for me to kind of figure out. Obviously, I did this in my thriller recommendations, and somebody had said, you know, I'm surprised you haven't seen the movie. So as soon as I found this, actually Danielle found this. She like literally grabbed it and like threw it at me and was like, here, watch it. And so I watched it. Thank you for the recommendation. I forget who the comment was. I'm sorry. But it actually is a really solid movie, and they are planning to do a remake of it with Zac Efron as the father. And it sounds really interesting. I mean, it was a really interesting movie. I actually really liked it. So There you have a Firestarter. The next one I found was Pet Cemetery, the 2018 or 2019 edition. Have not seen this edition yet. Have heard mixed reviews on it. But I am planning to watch this at some point. Don't know when, but it'll happen at some point. The last movie we found, which I'm surprised I actually didn't own. I thought I did, but I guess we left it at my parents'. And that is The Shawshank Redemption. I loved this movie. It's kind of funny. I was actually telling Danielle this. This is like a 2.5-hour movie, but the book is only like 90 pages. So like the fact that they're able to like spread that out into a really like cinematic masterpiece is pretty cool. So, love the movie, love the book, highly recommend it. First book that I found was this version of The Colorado Kid by Stephen King. Obviously, the rest of these are all Stephen King, so. But yes, I found this edition, which I love this cover. The other one I have is of the guy like dead on the beach, and they got a girl like on the beach or something like that. This is one of the more first editions, if I'm not mistaken. But I do. This book was okay. It was an okay book. It wasn't the best, but whatever. He's got one more Hard Case Crime coming out later, which is coming out actually next month. Get excited. But yes, Colorado Kid, Stephen King. The next one I found is this edition of The Dead Zone, which I did not have. It's a really cool looking cover. Absolutely love it. I'm yet to read this book, and actually I just recently watched the movie of it. So for anyone who's wondering, I've been trying to like watch all the Stephen King movies that I can, so I can like possibly do like a comparison video maybe, where like I'll compare the book versus the movie. Maybe I'll do something like that. If you like that idea, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that. I think that's a pretty cool concept, but I got a lot of movies I need to watch, and I got a lot more books I need to read. So, The Dead Zone, now I just got to read the book, and one step closer with this cool looking cover. The next one I found is this edition of Misery. I really love this cover. It's got like the cool house in the background. You can kind of, I don't know if it's going to be too blurry or not, but you can kind of see Paul Sheldon sitting in the window. It's very faint. You might not be able to see him, but you can kind of see in the window there's a lighted up window, and Paul Sheldon is kind of sitting there in the wheelchair. But I did not have this edition, and I absolutely, Misery was a really good book. Really enjoyed it. There were little parts that I did not like, but overall, really solid book. And now I have this edition. So you have Misery. Back on the Dead Zone train, I found this really cool looking, just small edition, like shorter edition of the Dead Zone. I do already have 2 editions of hardcovers, but now I have a third one because this is a little bit smaller. And I have been trying to like get like a smaller edition for some of them. I've got a smaller Shining, Cujo, but I've got smaller editions of everything. So I found this one too. Thought it was pretty cool. Thought I needed to grab it. And yeah, small Dead Zone. The last one from Half Price Books is the Stephen King Companion. Who was this by? This is by George Beam. Sorry, George. So I already have a version of this that's a little bit newer, and it's like a lot thicker than this one. There was another version of this I had, I think is like part 2, or maybe part 1. I did not have this edition, I have that much. So, found this, thought it was pretty cool, and so I had to have it. And there you have the Stephen King Companion. Alright, next up is our Barnes & Noble finds. I've been trying to get more into fantasy and sci-fi, and so luckily my wife has got some people she watches who she gets really good recommendations from, or has seen recommendation videos, and so she had recommended to me a couple of options that we got earlier in the month, and I found a couple here that sounded interesting to me, and then we just found another book that we just wanted to get. So that's the first one I'm going to show you. So I read The Tenant by Katrina Engberg, and I did not like that book at all. It did not work for me. But she wrote a sequel called The Butterfly House. And the cover looks really cool. Danielle really wanted me to try and give it another try. Not The Tenant, I'm not reading that one again, but to give the author another try with the sequel. And so I'm going to try and read this one at some point. Danielle really liked the cover. I'm somewhat of a cover buyer, but to me it's got to be like I don't know. I'm going to try and give this a read, and I'm going to see if I can enjoy it, because The Tenant was a flop. But, yeah, Butterfly House. The next one I'm going to show you is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is a fantasy book that Danielle had heard a lot of good things about, and it's a very thick book. This is, I think, more telling like the story of a couple of like women from like a fantasy perspective, and I hear it's like kind of like more like a feminist type book. And I really am trying to get into fantasy, and one of the blurbs said if you're trying to get into fantasy, this is like the book to start with. I also have got some other options I want to try, but Danielle had heard a lot of good things about this book, and so I wanted to give it a try. It is a really big book, but at some point I'm going to try and get to this, and then you guys can hear what I think. This will probably be my first fantasy book that's not by Stephen King, because the Gunslinger series is like 8 different categories. So it's like horror, thriller, fantasy, sci-fi. It's like everything. So, but I'm going to give this one a try at some point, and hopefully I can enjoy it like the rest of you guys. The next 3 I got is part of a series. I vaguely read the back, and it all sounded really interesting to me, and that is the Lysanias trilogy. I don't know if I'm reading that correctly. I'm sorry. But I got books 1, 2, and 3, which is The Shadow of What Was Lost, An Echo of Things to Come, and The Light of All That Falls. I had some Barnes & Noble money. I had a gift card, and so I figured, why not get a series? Because that tends to be like the big thing with fantasy, is there's typically a series involved. I already have book 1 of Wheel in Time, and I have not read that one yet, but there's like 13 or 12 of those books, and so I need to read the first one first. So I figured with this one only having 3, I had enough to get them. Why not? This is book 1, 2, and 3. These are all really thick books, and at some point I'm going to get to these. I really hope I like them, because I spent my Barnes & Noble money on them. But I'm hoping I can become a fantasy sci-fi type person as well as horror, thriller, and mystery. So I'm really trying to broaden the horizons here. If you guys have any other recommendations on fantasy books, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm really trying to branch away from just the typical King, Joe Hill, horror, thriller stuff. And I think fantasy and sci-fi is going to really roll with me. So, yeah. So I got these 3 books, and hopefully I will enjoy them. Alright guys, thank you for shopping with us. It was a fun time. What are some books you've gotten recently or have read recently that you would recommend for me? Again, like I said, I'm trying to get into more of like the fantasy type stuff, so any of those recommendations are highly recommended for me. I really want to see some. Obviously, if you got horror and thriller, let me know. But yeah, this was a fun time. Really loved it. If you guys like videos like this, again, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. And we will see you guys in the next video. Later.